to the DJ Sessions, where we feature the best DJs and producers from around the world. I'm your host, Darren, and right now we're sitting in the DJ Sessions virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, and we're on a virtual call with none other than tyDi, coming in all the way from LA. tyDi, how's it going this afternoon?
Very, very well, and confusing at the same time.
Tell me about it. It's a little bit weird with the transition of everything kind of going to an online world, but the cool thing is that the DJ Sessions has been right there on the forefront of working with this technology for years. So welcome and congratulations on actually being our first video long distance interview.
Well, thank you so much for choosing me as the first one. Hopefully, maybe I'm like the canary in the cave, you know, just a test run. See if I die during this interview, then you can, you know, troubleshoot from there.
Absolutely. Well, you know, with the rise of online streaming and a lot of DJs now going to the platform, one of the things that I've noticed, and we used to do a lot on the DJ Sessions, was interview the celebrity DJs and the local DJs on the show. So again, getting back to doing this, I might be a little rusty myself. I haven't interviewed for a while, but we're going to do this, and normally do it live, but it's pre-recorded for obviously safety's sake.
Yeah.
And so, but you're down in LA, you're working on stuff. What are you doing to pass the time right now? What's the projects you got going on?
Oh, well, okay. So I've been working on new music, and I guess what's been interesting is that last year I wrote all of the songs, produced, and engineered all the tracks that are going to come out this year as both tyDi, and I'm not sure if people watching know, but I also have an alias called Wish I Was, and so I'm both of them, and so I'm sitting on about 30 tracks. I just released a single called I Wanna Believe, and I have another one that I just locked in for 22nd of May that I wrote with a country artist called Start Again, which we can talk about more later. But I think what's been cool is that I've had some time to experiment in the studio, and people that know me just as a DJ may not know that I do things for Disney on Ice. I compose for video games, I compose for film and TV commercials and things like that. So I haven't had a shortage of things to work on, and if I do, I'm generally just messing around musically or going on a run.
Well, you know, that's awesome to know that. A lot of people don't know a lot of the background that a lot of producers actually do work outside of the electronic music industry. You know, and speaking about that, you know, do you think DJs should learn more about music theory, or does it matter that much when it comes to dance music?
So I mean, I would say with the question, it's should DJs learn more, or should producers learn more, or songwriters or composers? There's so many ways to answer that question. So as a DJ, I would say that, well, okay, I'll start like this. Overall, music is a language. It's just like English. It's just like learning Mandarin or any kind of language. Music is a universal language, which is a phrase that everyone knows, and it speaks to hundreds of millions, billions around the world. And the more you know about the language, the better you're going to get at whatever you pursue in that. Whether you're a DJ and you're just playing and mixing songs, but understanding why those songs make people feel a certain way does come from theory in a way. And this isn't me saying you cannot be a great DJ if you don't know music theory. Like I happen to be a geek, and I have a degree in music theory and classical and things like that. But no, I mean, I don't think you necessarily need it, but I would make the argument that it helps a lot.
And yeah, and I mean, it's always that, does a DJ need to know it, or can they use the current technology, you know, the sync button, which is a controversial topic out there, or, you know, using platform or software like Mixed in Key, and now letting, you know, back in the vinyl days, you had to kind of know what you were doing when you're mixing a vinyl record, but here it's, I mean, I got my first Pioneer gear today for the show, or not today, but recently for the show, and notice, you know, you run everything through Rekordbox, run it through Mixed in Key. The other program that does, I should know this after doing the show for 10 years, the one that basically does all your waveforms and makes sure all your music is
yeah.
the audio is all the same stuff. Gosh, what am I?
Normalizing.
Thank you, normalizing. See, I'm glad that's why we're not live sometimes. But
that's okay.
But I mean, it made it really easy for me to literally run my stuff through Rekordbox, plug it in, and say, okay, here's my keys, here's my BPM, and let's go. And while I'm not aspiring to be a DJ myself, it was pretty easy to pick it up. But I have no musical theory background or have taken any music classes on how to compose music.
Yeah.
And, just thinking that may be a skill, that DJs might find that would come in handy.
Yeah. So when I first started out DJing and I was 15, there was no such thing as mixed in key, and there was also I hadn't gone to college. I use the word college here in America, but I grew up in Australia. I've been living in LA for 7 years now, hence the smooshed accent. But I do remember the days where I would get a vinyl record and I would play it, and then I would work out the key of the records. Like some people have perfect pitch, some people have what's called relative pitch, and some people have no idea of pitch at all. And so for me, I don't have perfect pitch, but I have relative pitch. So if I know the middle C on a keyboard, I can tell you the key of another record. So it helps a lot with DJing without things like mixed in key. But I do remember the days where I would get on plane flights to go and play shows around the world, and I would have on the front covers of the vinyl, I would write like D major or G flat minor, or things like that, whatever. I would have the key signature written on there, so that when I was in a club, if I was doing a set and I really cared about the mix, and this is a whole, I mean, I could talk for hours on what's more important, but I'll try to keep it concise, which is my really, really bad. I'm not good at keeping things concise in interviews. I just go on these things. But so if I was like onto like a really long 4-hour set where I was trying to have a progression where I didn't want a bad mix to ruin the flow or anything like that, I would be able to look at the vinyl, the front cover of the vinyl, and see the key signature that I'd worked out prior, and know that would mix nicely into the next one. But with that comes its downside, and I've noticed that I've changed over the years, over the decade, because even though for anyone that's been to one of my shows and seen me play, you'll notice that maybe 3 or 4 tracks in a row will be really nicely. I'll try to keep them in key, and sometimes it happens by accident. But I personally will always prioritize the right song to entertain the crowd over a brilliant mix. And that doesn't mean I'm going to train wreck, although I haven't, I'm not going to say I haven't train wrecked in my life, but, I'm not a fan of the sync button. I'm not a fan of that. I like to really enjoy feeling, I came from that world of like feeling the record under my hand and having to push it forward, actually touching it and hoping the needle wouldn't skip and slowing it down. Things like, that I guess, a lot of the new DJs wouldn't get to experience, which is not a problem, because when you have technology that helps you to do that for you, you now have a realm in which you can focus on other areas. But for me as a DJ, I like to think that, I know just from experience and playing out, that when I DJ, I always prioritize the right song at the right time. In fact, it's come down to the punch. Like I've seen like 1 minute remaining on a song, and I've still been deciding which track to play next. And it's a reoccurring nightmare I've had, and I think a lot of DJs that have been doing it for a long time probably get. Is like, oh no, like what track do I play next? And it usually happens because you're deciding between something that's going to mix in really nicely and just follow the groove, or you're like, okay, I'm ready to switch the mood up and just totally blow minds here. And sometimes that requires an out of key mix and just a really quick fade, as long as that it's in sync, and it's not using the sync button, but it's beat matched. And so yeah, in short, I was trying to keep it short. I prioritize the right songs at the right time. Track selection is more important to me than a smooth mix, because I feel like, and I'll finish on this, I feel like if you're going to listen to a 5-hour set in one sitting, I understand the idea of being able to manage both. But in today's day and age where I'm getting asked more and more to play 1-hour shows instead of 3-hour shows, I have thousands of songs I would like to play to people. And I have hundreds of my own songs that I want to play to people. Putting that into 1 hour, it means that I have to sacrifice so many songs. And so I'm more about reading the room and looking at the crowd and looking and staring people in the eyes and seeing how they're vibing. And then I'll get a vibe on a certain group of people and I'll go, all right, I'm going to make them go off, or I'm going to make them go off. And that decides what the next song is going to be. And I will often, or try to not make it so often, but I will choose to mix the track that is the most appropriate track over a perfectly mixed, selection. But in saying that, I am a huge admirer of people that really care about long transitions.
Yeah, and speaking of that, trying to cater the mix to the audience, at clubs and other dance events, do you think people should look at the DJs like they are rock stars, or would it be more fun if DJs were slightly more anonymous and just part of the bigger event? I.e., you have the stage presence, you have the stage show, you have the visuals, and everyone's focused on that DJ as you see at the bigger electronic music festivals and events, and all eyes are on the stage? Or would it be more of something where the DJ's in the background and the music's being spun and played, but people are more circular or more organically interacting with each other on the dance floor, although they do act with each other on the dance floor, but they aren't just eyes glued to the front of the stage?
Yeah. I think the first thing you said is, should people look at DJs like rock stars? I don't think so. And I don't really know what that means in the sense of like when I play a show, I'm not there to be validated or glorified. I think that the DJ's job is to really make an incredible party, but what comes packaged with that is, by default, who makes the most incredible party, and what is an incredible party. So for some people it's deep house, or some people it's techno, or some people it's trance. With me it's a little weird, and I've always had trouble identifying what I am genre-wise, but I feel like, if I was to say a hard no one should ever appreciate the brand behind the artist, I'd be lying a little, because the reason people fly me to Guatemala and to India and to Russia and to Australia and all over Asia is because they know that when they book tyDi, they're going to get the songs they know from me, plus what they've seen before, and they've probably told their friends, "Oh, a tyDi show is like this." And I've actually, I shouldn't do this, but I've gone through forums and I've seen people, the haters and stuff, and they've written, "I went to a tyDi show and it's crazy. He'll play trance at the end of his set. The first half was deep house, and then he threw in this, he just completely stopped the whole thing and threw in this song that was by a rock band, and therefore I don't like him." But then I've seen comments under that, and they've gone, "That's what's cool about it, is that you're going to get a surprise." And and so that kind of becomes a little bit of my brand, is that it's eclectic. Mm-hmm. I would still say I'm in the progressive house, trance, and even techno world, to avoid the word EDM. But yeah, there is something to be said. There's a reason why when you go to a festival, you watch Carl Cox. You know what you're going to get. It's a brand. Now, to say, should we praise the almighty Carl Cox and all of that? Well, if you want to, if you go home and you want, I've had fans that they send me paintings, and their whole wall in their bedroom is covered in photos and things. I mean, it's kind of it's overwhelming. The brand it kind of comes packaged in, but I feel like if you're focusing primarily on trying to be famous as a DJ, or as a DJ, as an artist, or as a performer. If your primary focus is not to entertain, you'll never get the brand anyway. So I feel as though that, to answer your question again in short now, I don't think it's really up to the DJ if they get glorified or not, and I don't really think the audience should go, oh, we should praise this artist. I think it's really just a matter of how you connect. There are bands I glorify and idolize because I love their music, and I can't believe how they've like created this style, this world, this universe of what they've got. And it was my choice to glorify them and put them on a pedestal, But I'm not walking around going, you should, glorify the DJ. So there's a difference between a DJ being background music and I've been that guy. I've been the guy in the room who's there to, like, at a corporate event or something like that, where I thought I was being invited to play as tyDi, and really I was there to entertain a room of people who had no idea who tyDi was. And in that instance, I immediately have to go, okay, I'm here to entertain. And so I become like, there's no ego. You have to entertain, and you kind of just fall into a groove, and you just kind of, I like watch like a hawk, are they liking it? Are they not? I'm constantly thinking about it. And then there's shows where I know for a fact it's sold out 3 weeks before, and there's going to be 3,000 people, and everyone's there to hear Redefined and Oceans and Wanna Lose You and all the big tracks on Spotify. And if I don't play those, I get hate mail. So
oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. It's the double-edged sword in a sense. You rise to a certain level of getting to a certain standard that people are going to expect from your show, expect from your brand. And I remember a while ago I was going to a show, and I believe it was Knife Party was playing at the club, and I wanted to hear Centipede. Or no, it was Kill the Noise, and I wanted to hear the Kill the Noise video.
Yeah.
I sat there and I went to go see the show, stayed up late, and they didn't play my Kill the Noise volume, the song one that I wanted to hear, and I was like, I was kind of a little bummed out. But then I found out the song was like 3 years prior, 2 or 3 years prior. So of course they're not going to be playing 3-year-old stuff on a current tour. You take it or leave it. Speaking of touring, producing, and doing all the stuff that you do, spending countless hours behind the computer screen, making your beats, touring. What do you do in your free time to stay fit?
Well, if the weather's good, I just run. In fact, just before this interview, I was just out going for a run, and I won't disclose where I live, but in LA somewhere. I like to just kind of clear my head, and I'll go for a run or swim, or just I'm not really a gym guy. I'm not the kind of person to go and just want to lift heavy things. It kind of bores me. So I'll go out and run or enjoy nature or do things like that. But it's not that interesting, really. Well,
I do know from your social profile, because I do follow you on the socials, that you've actually started to dabble in painting. And tell us what the inspiration behind your painting was all about.
I'll show you. Hold that thought. So originally, I don't know if you've heard of paint by numbers.
Yes, I have. Yes.
So paint by number, because I can't paint. I've never painted in my life, and it's one of those things that I just have never done, because it's kind of like, all right, I shouldn't touch that. I don't know what I'm doing. So originally started with paint by numbers, and this is still in the making, and this is following the rules, and it's going to turn out, I think it's going to turn out like that. It's meant to be like this. It's meant to be like, in the end, it's going to be like this kind of thing, right?
It's upside down.
Yeah, that way. So, but then I was like, am I allowed to swear on the show?
Yeah, you can.
Well, I was like, fuck it. I didn't like the idea, and this is just could be a personality trait, but I didn't like the idea of knowing what the picture would look like in the end. So I ended up painting this, and I don't know what it is. It's somewhat of a fox. Like here's the eyes, and there's the nose, and then there's the tail coming up here in the back. But there's also like the Sydney Opera House and some other things in here. But it's abstract, and I guess that's just one of those things I've done to pass the time. Yeah. I lost you for a second. You ran away.
Microphone for a second there, just for a second.
Okay.
I'm back, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. No, great work. I thought it was great to see, it's always good to see, people going outside of their element and doing other things they aren't particularly known for. It kind of gives and builds, a character. It shows their openness, their diversity to do things, because, the industry can paint a stereotypical picture that it's all parties and limousines or rock star lifestyle.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I love those bits too.
Yeah, those are fun bits too. But
I definitely love the parties and the limousines and the lifestyle. Like let's not. I can't sit here and lie and say I'm just purely in it because I like to have. I just purely like music. I mean, of course, there's something addictive about traveling the world and getting paid to do it. I mean, I've been to nearly every single country in the world, and that's fun. But that's not the reason why I do it. It's just one of the perks of the job.
Could you actually see yourself with your newfound passion for painting and doing art? Could you see yourself doing a gallery opening?
No. I don't think anyone would come to it. I don't know if anyone would go to it. That's the painting that I held up before is the first one I've ever done. Maybe I'll auction it off to make money for a charity or something. But no, I definitely don't think painting is something that's on the cards to me as an artist. I think that there's too many other people who have been practicing far longer than I have. I just got locked in the house and decided to paint.
Awesome. And you have tyDi, which is your main brand name that you work under, you do shows under, and you work under the other alias, Wish I Was. Tell us a little bit about that creation, about Wish I Was, and some of the works that you're working on underneath that alias.
Yeah, so Wish I Was is it's hard to talk about, but back when, around the times when I made Redefined, and then I made I won't go into too many stories here, but with, like they say, with great power comes great responsibility, and I don't know what the analogy is here, but I had a team around me that was fantastic, and I'm always surrounded by a lot of people that have an influence in what I do. And when I made such a big song, and I'm not gonna say such a big song as in the dance world, I was being asked to repeat it a lot, and I couldn't, and that's just because it's not in my nature. Like, for anyone that knows me as an artist knows that every song is different. The next track that's going to come out, like, people don't know this yet, but it's going to be, well, it's done. It's coming out on May 22nd, and it's country / pop / electronic. And so going back to how Wish I Was started, I had so many people in my ear telling me, you need to sound like this, and you need to stick to a brand, and you need to stick to a style. And it backfired on me mentally, I think, because I found myself trying to repeat something that it's not repeatable for me. Like, I could have used the same template, but it would have been the same song with just maybe a different vocal. And I don't know, like, I already made Redefined, I already made Oceans, I already made Wanna Lose You, I already made songs that people know from me. And I was finding myself at nighttime, like, polishing off a bottle of wine, and writing these really weird underground songs, and at the same time just putting them on my hard drive and saying to myself and to other people, actually, I wish I was able to release that. I wish I was able to do that. I wish I was able to do this. And I can't remember who it was that said it, but someone said, you should do it. And that's how Wish I Was born. And at that part of my life, which I can tell you now, it's over and I'm happy, and hence why I'm putting out songs as tyDi and stuff again. But I was a little bit I was a little bit too boxed in by not just fan expectations, but by expectations of the teams around me that wanted me to, people are invested in me doing well. And so I decided to get all the music that I did as Wish I Was and just release it, but not say it was me. And what happened was it ended up on radio. And one of the first songs, called Cutting Ties, with Cameron Walker singing, ended up it got like 2 million plays on YouTube, and it went number 1 on SiriusXM's Chill, and then suddenly all these blogs and articles were writing like, who is Wish I Was? Is it Galantis? Is it such and such? And then I felt this really weird artistic freedom of like, wow, like I could be like why do I, just because I've called myself tyDi my whole life doesn't in my artist career, why can't I be another one as well? And so Wish I Was born, and I was anonymous for a year and putting out these songs, and it wasn't something that I did for a marketing tactic. It was simply because I couldn't have an outlet for it anywhere else. And then Wish I Was ended up going bigger and bigger, and people started demanding more Wish I Was music. And then eventually it was dropped on radio. Someone who knew that I was Wish I Was as well. It was actually really funny. I used to do radio interviews, and people would say, people interviewing me on really big stations would say, so you've got this new track, it's interesting, have you heard music from Wish I Was, because it sounds kind of similar to like your stuff, but on a deeper level. And in some interviews I would go, I haven't heard it, but I should check it out. Or I'd go, yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I feel like the guy could be like maybe taking some inspiration from what I do. And so it turned into this like split personality that I still feel I have today between tyDi and Wish I Was. But now in 2020, it's merged, and in a really beautiful way, where I'm able to make something that if I feel like if I make a song that's really down tempo and chill and ambient, or has like a rock influence, or it just goes left of center, then I can release it as Wish I Was. And if I want to release it as tyDi because it's a tyDi track, I can. And I've been very fortunate to be able to have like that 2 aliases now, and I'm in a place where I have so much musical freedom and an ability to be able to do that.
And you have, under Wish I Was, you do have the track, I believe, it's called I Wanna Believe, correct? Yeah. When is that going to be released? When is that coming out, or is that out right now?
So there's two songs. There's a Wish I Was song called I Wanna Believe, and then there's also a tyDi song called I Wanna Believe. I don't know which one you're talking about.
I'm going off my cue card notes.
Oh, no worries, let's go. Okay, so I've got a new single coming out. Wait, let's start that again. So this is an edit point. My latest single as tyDi is called I Wanna Believe, and it's really cool. It's fun, and it's a 3-minute song, and I really did actually, in that mindset, people will listen to it and go, oh, it's a pop song, but it was influenced by bands I used to listen to, bands like Paramore, Hayley Williams, where there was just like really just a massive amount of just vocal stacks to it, and the chorus. I actually wanted to see how many times I could fit the chorus into a 3-minute song, and it just turned out to be such a track that was like an earworm for me. Like, I would wake up hearing it, and my friends were singing it around me, and so I put that out as a single, and it's got like 5 million plays on Facebook now, and so that's my latest single as tyDi.
And it's currently as what are you working on for Wish I Was? Is there anything in production right now? Anything you can talk with our DJ Sessions viewers about?
Yeah. So the next single that's coming out is on May 22nd, and it's a collaboration with myself. It's tyDi and Wish I Was, and featuring Brenley Brown, who's a young country artist. She's an incredible, has such an amazing voice and just such an amazing personality. And the way we wrote that song is how I really like to write songs. And we walked into, I'm published with Universal Music, and so we have this huge recording studio with a grand piano and a massive desk for all basically anything you want, a drum kit. And I spoke to Brenley about like how we're going to start the song, and she's I guess she has the I don't want to put words in her mouth because she would probably word it a lot better than I could, or a lot more eloquently, but she wanted to take the songwriter approach where we just sat on the floor and we shut the doors and no cameras, no one, and it was just her on a notepad and me on piano and her on a guitar, and we would switch and kind of go, that's cool, or I think that's cool. And we made a song that is a hybrid between electronic and country music, but it doesn't sound like a country song. It's not like, you know, like blue jeans, red shirt, I'm out on a tractor kind of thing. It's got a really cool story. It's called Start Again, and it's got a little piece of tyDi in it and a little piece of Wish I Was, and then Brenley's got this beautiful voice that just, and her country flair, even when she knew she wasn't writing a country song, it has this kind of like feel to it, with acoustic guitars and things. So that's the next single, and I'm really excited about that one. I think I think that could be the one of the year for me.
And you know, in blending different styles of music together, you mentioned country crossover, kind of bringing that element in to electronic music. Are there any other particular styles that you would like to experiment with?
I feel like I've done as much as I can think of. Like I've had like screamo elements, and I've had I did an album a while back called Hotel Rooms, which is ambient, and also my last album that I released was with Christopher Tin, who's a 2-time Grammy Award-winning film composer, and he's done music for Crazy Rich Asians, and I wanted to do an album with a full orchestra, and so we managed to do this album called Collide. The name comes from a collision of electronic music with an orchestra, and we pulled it off. It was something that it was funny, actually. I got into beef with Deadmau5 about it on Twitter, but I think he likes to just do that with people. And at the same time, he was doing like a purely orchestral album, and someone had tweeted that I was doing a orchestral electronic album, and he goes, I don't see why you would put orchestral with electronic, but he hadn't heard it yet in his defense. So, and I love Deadmau5. I think Joel, like, he's a bit of a troll, but you know, he's a nice guy, and anyway, the point is that my last album was kind of everything I wanted to do, especially when I think back to my college years and I was studying classical music and theory, and listening to people practicing on cellos and violins and violas and things like that. I always wanted to do it, and I did do it a little bit in Redefined, like in the album. Like I would have like a lot of acoustic elements, but the album that followed, Collide, was just a full-on orchestra. Like, I mean, this thing is super orchestral and has the, but also then it's the contrast. Like you'll have like 90 players playing this big string piece and flutes and the whole brass section and woodwinds, like, and then suddenly bang, it drops into an electronic beat. So we got that across, and I'm very happy with that album. And it was an experimental album. So yeah, to answer your question, I feel like I've that was a really big break for me into film score as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something that I don't tell people is, like, you know, and if you go to tyDiComposer.com, you can see that I've worked with Disney on Ice for a few years now, composing pieces of music for their show of purely orchestral, and also for films and a video game. I worked with Christopher Tin doing the title track for a video game called Splitgate, and so what happened with me doing Collide was it led me into people asking me to do stuff that wasn't electronic, and that's really cool. So I feel liberated as a composer. You know, I don't necessarily, I don't have any desire to follow down one path of music. And you know, if I hear a song and it's inspiring, then I'll let you know. But as of now, I feel like I'm quite musically free.
Awesome. Well, I got one more question for you before we let you get back to having that awesome glass of Chardonnay in your studio down there in LA.
Yeah.
If Hollywood were to make a movie about your life, who would you pick as the main actor?
Whoa. Does it have to be someone that looks like me, or can it just be like a really good actor?
Somebody that would represent tyDi and the life story of tyDi, I Wish I Was, and your whole person as you are, from David Copperfield. I was born, I grew up, I got into the business. Who would represent your third part of the movie as your middle to, or your second to third part of the movie as your middle to adult life?
Yeah, I would. You know, I hope this doesn't come across egotistical, but I would choose probably Leonardo DiCaprio, because seeing Wolf on Wall Street, and I mean all of his films, he adapts to you know, all the characters he does, and he really gets into them. And I have led so many weird aspects of my life. Like, you know, if you watch Wolf of Wall Street, you'll see some things that people go, that just could not have happened. I could go on for hours and tell you about the time that I was on a private plane with 40 other DJs. It was a chartered jet, and we had, like, people were throwing food up and down the plane, and the flight attendants didn't know what to do, and everyone was just, it was just a crazy party time. But then there's also like the aspects of being a little bit, you know, alone and depressed in the studio, and or just thinking, you know, what am I? Who do I? What, like? Yeah, I mean, being an artist is, you have high highs and low lows, and so I choose Leo because I think he'd be able to pull that character off. Just going for an actor that I think is great and would definitely do that. I wouldn't choose anyone tacky. That's the thing, because you know, it's easy to see me on stage and go, oh, that's tyDi, that's who he is. But there are so many facets to my life that have been both extremely emotional and heartbreaking, and they've led to songs that are introverted and scary to even show people. And then there's been this party side where I've gotten on a jet with no sleep and landed in Taiwan and played 2 shows, and then still had no sleep in 36 hours. And then next I show up at another club and no one speaks English, and they're like, here's a bottle of tequila, and then off you go, and you're on stage again, and there's a huge party aspect to it. So I would definitely, yeah, I think, you know, that if there was a movie ever made on me, I don't know how interesting it would be, but it would definitely it would take a lot of turns.
Awesome. Well, tyDi, thank you so much for joining us on the DJ sessions. Where can people find out more information about you and your music and what you got going on?
Yeah, I'd direct people to, it depends. If you just want to know a little bit about, like, my music, go to Spotify or to whatever you stream music on, Apple Music, anything like that, and go through my catalog. I think the best way to really understand me as an artist is to sit down and listen to the albums that I've done, to listen to Collide the full way through, and to listen to Redefined the full way through, and to listen to also then Wish I Was, and go to your streaming, whatever you choose to stream or download or play music, and listen to Wish I Was, and listen to those albums the full way through, like On Your Mind, and hear how different they are. And I think that can help people musically. As it comes to just me being a weirdo, twitter.com/tydi, TYDI. And sometimes I put, you know, silly things on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, wherever you want, really. I think these days it's quite easy to track down an artist.
It is. Well, thank you again so much for coming on the DJ sessions. We really appreciate it. Can't wait till you get up here in Seattle. We'll get you in that new mobile studio that we've launched, and we're launching. You'll hear more about that as it comes out. But again, it's awesome always hearing what you're up to, seeing what you're doing, and keep up the good work, man. There's a lot of people out there who appreciate what you do, and we really enjoy talking with you on the show.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that so much.
You're welcome. And don't forget, you can go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, hashtag us, The DJ Sessions. This is Darren and tyDi coming to you from the DJ Sessions mobile studios and tyDi down in LA for the DJ Sessions, where the music never stops.
So sit back, I'm gonna need you to relax. You gonna have to kick it like you relapse. You better believe that these beats get these bitches on their knees stat. That's my feedback. Fresh talk to 'em. Scan the weed, mad lab, man, you might need a gas mask. Bitches in the bathroom cutting lines like a fast pass. Pass that to couple cats, a little pissy drunk. Pass that's me and Fresh with a drink in our cup. Yeah, all I ever wanted to do was hit the blunt, cause I couldn't see it fucking me up. But now I'm cross-faded, the vibe is fading. It's cool though, I'm adapting, my mind is changing. Of all places to be, I'm in the spot, you see. So it's already like I won the fucking lottery. I gotta be out of my goddamn mind to let it happen to me every goddamn time. And if I'm the fucking outcast like Big Boy and 3 Stacks, I still block out the feedback. Talk to him. Fresh talk to him. Talk to him. And if I'm the fucking outcast like Big Boy and 3 Stacks, I still block out the feedback. Talk to him.